you hear people saying, I can't get an agent, it's so hard. Meanwhile, I had one for months and I didn't know. Show up, say your lines, don't be a dick, leave.
Have you ever been told that you have a voice for radio? Well, how about a voice for voiceover? Getting behind the mic with me today is Tyler Hyrchuk, a Canadian voice actor who got his start working in radio and moved up to voiceover. So join me as I have a conversation with Tyler about his journey into voiceover and what he's learned along the way.
You are not just a voice actor, you're also the co-founder of Lengthy Tangent. And I'm wondering what exactly inspired you to be the co-founder of Lengthy Tangent?
Sure. So I am part of a smaller voice acting community on Discord, and we had been doing like voiceover workouts, things like that for a little while during the pandemic. And we found that a lot of the other members of the Discord didn't have a lot of experience and didn't have a lot of credits. So we thought, why not start making things so people could get credits? So it's kind of like a bit of an educational incubator type thing where we decided to create Lengthy Tangent, it's myself and 3 other people, and then start Peculiar Radio, which is the first production that we released. The full first season's out. We're working on pre-production in season 2, which we're excited about. But giving people the opportunity to write, to market, to direct, to act, to produce. And it was just basically a way for us to be like, look, we don't have to wait to be cast on projects to learn how to do things. Let's just make our own kind of thing.
Yeah. And then because it deals mainly with radio, Peculiar Radio as well, that's where you really got your start as well in the industry. You were a co-writer for a radio show. How did you go to co-writing in radio?
Yeah, so copywriting in radio, I started, way back doing silly voices and things like that, recreating stuff that I saw on TV. And I went to radio broadcasting school in Toronto, Canada, Humber College, 2 years. And going in, I don't think I wanted to be on the radio necessarily, but I wanted to use my voice in some capacity. So at the beginning of the second year, you have to pick a pathway to go into. And I told this to one of my profs, and he basically said, don't pick the broadcasting pathway. Don't be a jock. Don't be an on-air announcer, because you'll learn things that you may have to then forget if you want to go into voice acting. Granted, some people have made success, transitioning from being an on-air announcer to voice acting. But he basically said, learn the back end. Learn how to write, learn how to produce. So I was able to learn sound engineering, copywriting, and I really think that helps me when it comes to understanding the copy more. Being in a place where I can gently suggest copy changes if they're not working, kind of thing. So that was the general sort of pathway into copywriting. I moved to Northern Alberta, and I was living there for 14 months working in radio. I had my own show for a little bit on air. But yeah, and then I started writing commercials and I used multiple voices. So I'd be like, okay, this commercial needs 4 voices. And the sound engineer would be like, we only have 3 people that can do that. I'm like, there's this guy, Tyler. He'd be great for this. And so I just started writing commercials that I knew they had to use me, more or less.
Right. Okay. So especially with like being a voice actor and being able to like suggest those changes and maybe write yourself into some stuff as well. Is that kind of like how you started getting more into voiceover from copywriting then?
Yeah, I would say so. Seeing more kind of interesting characters that would come into commercials, doing the odd on-air thing with an announcer being like, oh, we have the local pizza guy here. Hey, bobbity boop, whatever it is. And right prior to me moving out to Alberta, I'd started taking improv as well. And then I took a big hiatus and got back into it in the last 5 or so years. But any opportunity to fool around and be silly, for sure.
Yeah. No, speaking of, can you like really pinpoint the first role you had gotten after you had decided to write your own scripts?
There's one in particular that I don't think it was the first one that I did, but it's one that my dad brings up from time to time. And it was a commercial for a Bonspiel. Do you know what a Bonspiel is?
No, what's a Bonspiel?
I'm sure I'm going to get my Canadian card revoked, but it's essentially like a curling competition.
Right.
And so Northern Alberta, there are a lot of those. And so I wrote this commercial where it was different scenarios of everyday life. Like one was a kid going to their mom after school, and the mom's like, "How's the math test?" And the kid's like, "It was hard. It was hard." Or like different scenarios like that. And then I had the tagline at the end, and I mispronounced Bonspiel, and I said Bonspiel. Just throwing a little bit of Yiddish in there, I guess, maybe. And nobody corrected me. And then it went to air, and then my dad was laughing because he grew up in the Midwest Canada. So he's like, "That's not how you say it."
Yeah, so that's definitely one of your more memorable moments, mainly because it keeps getting brought up.
Probably, yeah. But I remember prior to even getting into voice acting, my first kind of paid gig was when I was in college, and they had like an audition process to voice the award ceremony for like a soccer association of some kind in Toronto. And I remember I was selected. I went to this place. They paid me $50, and they didn't have like a proper mic setup. They had a camera, which I think they recorded like with the lens cap on, and they had like a lav mic or something. And I was so nervous, and I thought I did a terrible job. And then they handed me a CD afterwards, or they sent it to me or whatever, the finished product, and I still haven't listened to it. And that's like 13, 12 years ago.
You have had a substantial amount of training. So, of course, you've done your improvisation training, but you've also worked with other Canadian voice actors and actors and more professionals in the industry. Can you share some more about those experiences, really?
My first proper foray into a voiceover or voice acting workshop, I did a commercial workshop when I got back from my gallivanting around the world at the beginning of 2018. And I took this awesome 2-day commercial workshop, and I kind of fell backwards into doing a demo after that, which hindsight is 2020. The demo did help me get my first agent, but I should not have done it then, because basically it was maybe 6 to 8 of us on a Saturday, Sunday, and near the end of Sunday, one of the people who had signed up had already preliminarily signed up for a demo session with the coach or whatever. And the coach basically went to them and was like, "Hey, I don't think you're ready." And they were like, "Oh, okay." And then they turned and they were like, "But Tyler, you're basically ready. Like, do you want to do a demo in a couple weeks?" And I was like, "Sure." And going in, it was like an hour. I think they had only 3 scripts for me. And then at the very end, they were like, "You were in Australia. Say something with an Australian accent. Maybe we'll throw it at the end." "Oh, yeah, throw a shrimp on the barbie, mate. Yeah, it'd be a great time." And almost immediately, I was like, this is not a great demo.
Yeah.
I took an animated workshop after that, and I took my time a little bit more with that coach saying, "Hey, I want to do a demo in animation as well." And so I actually wrote my own stuff. And so copywriting coming in, I wrote different characters. I worked with a coach. I ended up recording it at an agency after hours with an engineer. And then months afterwards, I'd get the odd audition from him. And then when it came to, I was putting together a workshop with some friends to pitch a voice actor, be like, "Hey, we don't know these things. Can you teach us these things?" And one of them was how to get an agent. So I emailed the engineer. I was like, "Hey, I'm pitching this workshop with some friends, and I was gonna ask, are you being nice and sending me auditions? Am I on the roster?" He's like, "Oh, you're on the roster." I was like, "Oh." So part of me was like, you hear people saying, "I can't get an agent. It's so hard." Meanwhile, I had one for months and I didn't know.
Wow.
But things like that. So the people that I trained with directly led to me getting an agent. And that's happened in the past too, where I'll do a workshop. Ellie Ray Hennessy is a Canadian voice actor, and she facilitates workshops on a monthly basis, through Zoom. Used to do it in person, and brings different industry pros in to do stuff. So if it's a casting director for Toronto or Canada or whatever, I'll jump on those because I'm able to read for them. They see me, they connect me with my performance. And then down the road, if I get an audition from my local agent, oh, the casting director, oh, it's Tanner's the casting director. I read for him before. I think I left a good impression. You know, everybody has a different experience in the industry. And so working with as many people as possible, you know, learning from them. I'll do one-on-one coaching with them as well, where I'll learn from them on that basis. Or if I get a particular audition, I'll call them up and be like, hey, do you have an hour? Like, can we work through these sides kind of thing? So
is that something that is easier to do when you go do some training and then you build a connection later on?
Yeah,
essentially.
I would say so. Absolutely. Being memorable is important for the right reasons, ideally. There are many people who become memorable for the wrong reasons, but if you're in a workshop and it's a 2-3 hour workshop and there's 11 other people, at the end of that, you should be able to be pointed out in a lineup by whoever was running it, right? Like, oh, that's Tyler. Oh, that's Tanner, right? So typically it's through a good performance. Sometimes it's through being a silly goose, but I just think that it's so important to network as much as you can, especially in your geographical area, if you can do that. And network with the people that make decisions.
And so, like, with being memorable, is there anything else as well to, like, basically put in with the advice that you would give to a new voice actor starting out in the industry?
One big thing that I see, especially, I don't know if you ever venture over to Reddit, but there are a few subreddits there, r/voice acting in particular, and at least once a day someone says, how do I get into voice acting? Or my mom says I have a great voice. Where do I get jobs? It's not how it works. An important thing is being a self-starter. Is people all the time will post and be like, I know nothing about this industry. Teach me. And it's like, it's not our responsibility to teach you. So teach yourself. Do your research, do your homework, and come in with specific questions, right? Like, I'll talk to my grandma once a month and she'll ask me specific questions. And then she'll talk to my mom and my mom will be like, I didn't know you do this thing. You didn't tell me. I'm like, you don't ask the right questions. Right? So that's one thing, Mom. Community is also super important and supportive. But so many people are so much more likely to help you if you're helping yourself. Really important. Your job is to find auditions and to audition. Your job is to do a job, but so much of this work is finding opportunities. And so many people think, oh, I haven't booked in 10 auditions. I'm not a real voice actor, or I'm not doing this properly. I'm failing. Like, my success rate's 1% to 2% of the auditions that I do, you know, and that's good, or high, you know, average, whatever it is. And so people come in with a false expectations, and then they give up after 6 months and they say, it didn't work for me.
And kind of leading from that, is there anything that you notice new or experienced voice actors, do you notice any mistakes that they've made?
Absolutely. Having too much ego is one. Going back to Reddit, I saw a post the other week, basically someone saying, I'm good. I know I'm good. I do improv, I do theater, I can do all these impressions. What's holding me back? It's like, have a little humility. I mean, I've heard stories. There's one story I love telling of where somebody basically had a job. It was like tens of thousands of dollars, something in, either it was in syndication or it was promo, it was something big. And they were reading in the final audition, they had the job and they're like, let's just play around here and see how you work with the director. They did a take. The director said, that's great. You know, let's try it this way. And the actor said, why? What was wrong with what I just did? I thought that was pretty good. And so immediately the director's like, you can't be directed.
No, you got to take the criticism, man. You can't act like you're the best person in the room. So you just got to remember that you got to kind of stay.
Yeah. I mean, voice acting, we're instruments, and the director's responsibility is to play us, right? So you're expected to hit certain notes, you know, say certain things, and then be quiet, right? Show up, say your lines, don't be a dick, leave. So that's, I mean, if you're looking for positive feedback or you're looking for genuine, like, educational, constructive criticism, don't half-ass it. Right?
Yeah. Now, you have really a plethora of characters and a plethora of roles that you've done over the years, really. So you've done like Evu the Emu in the animated kids show Mia and Cody. How do you go about creating unique voices for those roles?
One thing is working on archetypes and essentially like developing buttons in your like voiceover tool belt. So if you look at a spec and you're like, oh, they want a friendly dad character, cool. He could sound like this, or he could sound like this. Throw in a couple adjectives, things like that. I also sometimes will search out character art if there isn't character art and be like, okay, so based on this spec, this person may look something like this. And then from that be like, oh, okay, cool. They're shorter, or they're walking around with a skateboard. Maybe I'll reference the skateboard in my audition, right? So you get so many little details in auditions that nobody really, or few people latch onto. Too often I've heard from casting directors saying like 80% of the auditions that are sent to me are not great.
Yeah.
Right? And they're all the same kind of not great. And it's people who don't read the scene direction. It's people who don't do the homework on the script. It's people who, again, you get the character art and you don't recognize that, oh, wait a second, this person is half dragon. And maybe like add a little bit of gruff into it. Like, I don't know. So I wouldn't say that I have a method for creating character, but it's kind of an amalgam of what do I think this character would sound like? What are some affects I could potentially throw on? I try to avoid accents unless they specifically ask, because those are contentious as well. I've had casting directors say accents are lazy, where they're like, take one as you're doing the voice, take two as you're doing the exact same thing with an accent, right? So there needs to be a reason for it.
So moving kind of into like mixing voice acting, producing, writing with your personal life, like how do you feel you're able to balance all of these like very well as a voice actor?
For the most part, I would say I try not to make concrete plans during like a 9-to-5 workday if I can avoid it. Because some days I'll be super busy. You know, there was a day last year where I had 3 sessions back to back. The first one was at my home. I had like 5 minutes to get out the door and get to a studio in the city. And then I had half an hour to drive 20 minutes across the city for my 3rd session. And that's exhausting. But that's very uncommon to have multiple, if not 3 sessions in one day, for myself at least. And then there's days where my girlfriend Steph is like, you can go to a matinee? It's like, yeah, I went to the movie theater, sat by myself with all of the old people watching a 2:00 showing. And then I've also heard friends be like, I went to the beach in the middle of the day and I was emailed and I lost an opportunity because I was at the beach. So I got into a bit of a discussion with somebody on Reddit the other week about the work-life balance. So it's like, you kind of have to be on call pretty consistently, unless you're okay with being like, I'm not going to be able to submit every audition. I'm not going to be able to do everything that I can do, and planning around it, right? It can be very demanding. It can be very time consuming, but at the beginning of your journey, a lot of your time is spent just twiddling your thumbs, waiting to find opportunities. So being a self-starter is important. Finding a good balance that works for you, like do 5 auditions, take a 20-minute break, or whatever works for you, I think.
Yeah. And is that how you really stay creatively motivated and avoid burnout really then?
Yeah. I would say I try to like again, limiting my work to, the work day. I try not to work on the weekends if I can avoid it. I try not to work in the evenings if I can avoid it. And recently I've been taking breaks to play Hades 2, the early access, quite a bit more than I probably should. Great game, guys. If you need any Canadian gods, you can hit me up. Avoiding that, doing fulfilling things in my downtime, playing sports, spending time with my girlfriend and our dog. It's not, I am a voice actor, but voice acting isn't my life, if that makes sense. So I'm still able to compartmentalize for the most part.
Yeah. So like kind of like transitioning from that. So you've done some work with us. You've done some work with Voquent before on a few projects. How, as a voice actor, how did you find those experiences really?
Eye-opening. I didn't know that Christian Portuguese soap operas were so popular. Really awesome, honestly. I've done different online casting sites, and I'm not a paid shill, guys. The team at Voquent is awesome. Super quick to respond. I work with Thiago on a regular basis. They pay very quickly. I guess your experience may vary, but for the most part, yeah, I get an email from Joanna a couple days after I submit my invoice. They're like, hi, we sent you money. I'm like, great, awesome. I had a one-on-one consult with, I believe, Andy to kind of optimize my profile, and realized I was leaving stuff on the table because I didn't have all the samples I could have up. And I didn't have like dubbing and ADR checked. And as soon as I did that, I started getting work in that. And also I wrote down Michael and Fiona too. But just like with what I like about Voquent, and it is a little bit of a double-edged sword, which I feel like most swords are double-edged. But I like that I don't have to constantly do like auditions and cattle call auditions and be like, oh, there's 100 other people that auditioned for this. Great, I'm 101. Whereas I'll be contacted when I'm shortlisted for something, where it's like, cool, you're one of however many people. Do you have availability next week on these days? Or, hey, here's work. Oh, great. Or the odd time where it's like, hey, you're shortlisted. Can you audition? But you're only auditioning against, a handful of other people. So I think it's a very voiceover and voice actor friendly site. And I think it deserves its flowers.
No, it's good that you've had good experiences with us. Kind of like starting to wrap this up really. Is there anything that you hope to accomplish like in the future, like maybe working on a specific type of project or landing a specific type of role really?
I love doing commercials. I love the opportunity to improvise on the spot, have fun, make people in the room laugh. I would love to do, an animated feature film if possible. I'd love to book more animation work. I'd love to do more video games. I would love to do everything more, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm very fortunate that I'm a full-time voice actor. I'm coming up soon on 5 years doing this full-time. I know not a lot of people are able to do that because voice acting is so competitive. And I've been very lucky. Early-ish on, I got, a repeat grocery client, and they were a good chunk of my income for a little while. And finding repeat clients that, again, will come back over and over again. And I've noticed that my audition numbers have declined over the years, but I've been working more. And I've been auditioning less because I've been working more. I wouldn't call myself a coach, but I would consider myself to be a bit of a mentor. But getting maybe into coaching and doing more mentoring work, I find it very fulfilling. And I find that I'm able to learn, it sounds so corny, but like, who's teaching who, really? Directing people and talking about voiceover gives me insight too, so I enjoy doing it. And yeah, auditioning less, if possible, but still booking the same or more. So good luck to me.
Yeah, good luck to you. Absolutely. So Tyler, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then leave a like and a comment below, and subscribe if you want to see more voice actor interviews like this in the future. See ya!